Senator Duckworth, please.
Thank you. Good morning to our witnesses. General Van Ovos, thank you for your discussion last week, highlighting all the great work TRANSCOM is doing at Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. TRANSCOM is the linchpin of projecting and sustaining the force, key to our strategic deterrent. I also recognize that joint force sustainment is a whole of government and whole of nation effort. TRANSCOM must coordinate and balance equities across multiple government agencies, numerous industry partners, and diverse allies and partners in order to project and sustain combat power. General Van Ovos, I don't think enough people realize how complex your mission really is and how critical that message is, and how critical the people in TRANSCOM are to tackle their everyday mission. Can you speak, just for an example, to the efforts that your command is supporting right now, both at headquarters at Scott Air Force Base and around the world, just to paint a picture of how complex your mission is?
Thank you, ma'am. We've discussed our key priority of supporting European Command in supporting Ukraine and their defense. But beyond that, we have supported down the State Department with Sudan with the support for moving the diplomats out of Sudan in this recent crisis. We were inside 24 hours of the devastating series of earthquakes in Turkey. Our ability to launch out within 24 hours the urban search and rescue teams with the dogs and the cement breaking equipment to get to their rescue, as well as deliver a 100-bed field hospital. We are doing extensive exercises around the globe in almost every continent to increase the interoperability with our allies and partners and to ensure access spacing and overflight and agreements that's going to keep our freedom maneuver into the future. We are also, of course, doing the Global Bulk Fuel Mission. And, of course, I can't forget our families. We're moving 311,000 families a year all around the globe to achieve our mission.
Thank you. Your witness testimonies both underscore your combatant command's effort to exercise the joint force. In EUCOM exercise Defender Europe 24, General Cavoli and General Van Ovos, Defender Europe 24 will assemble a division-level formation on NATO's eastern flank for the first time since the Cold War, and I quote your testimony. TRANSCOM is regularly wargaming with partners and stakeholders to identify and close operational gaps to strengthen deterrence and develop new concepts to prevail. If both of you could answer this question, can you explain how your combatant commands have exercised with each other and other combatant commands? What is the relationship between geographic and functional combatant commands as the joint force looks to exercise, experiment, and integrate new tools and capabilities? I know I'm very macro today.
Thank you, Senator. No, that's a great question because it gives me an opportunity to talk a moment about TRANSCOM. So geographic combatant commands are responsible for delivering military results in a specific AOR. There are other commands that are in charge of a specific function, usually globally. And General Van Ovos obviously does transportation. Everything in U.S. EUCOM depends on the reinforcement that Jackie's forces can provide from CONUS. It is remarkable. We exercise it literally every day, ma'am, for routine movements, for rotational force movements, as well as for exercises. I said in my opening statement, there is literally nothing in the world like U.S. Transportation Command.
Thanks, ma'am. We are participating in an extensive series of exercises across the joint portfolio that allow us to increase our capabilities, to test new concepts, and frankly, old concepts like convoy operations with not only the United States and our allies and partners. And I appreciate the comments by General Cavoli. Functional combatant commanders do bring extensive experience in our specific areas, space, strategic nuclear deterrence, and in transportation, and it's an honor to work with them.
Thank you. General Van Ovos, we had a good conversation about medical evacuations. I'd like to sort of expand on that a little bit, especially as it applies in a contested environment and the vast distances of our nation's joint force that we might be facing in the future, especially in the Indo-Pacific region. Can you speak to efforts currently underway at USTRANSCOM to bolster the critical aeromedical evacuation capability? And also, what are you doing to provide our wounded service members rapid access to medical care? Because we talked about maybe they have to go someplace in between, especially when you're in a place like the South Pacific.
Thank you, ma'am. This is a critical question. You know, we have performed brilliantly over decades with the golden hour.
I know.
And countless people saved, ma'am, yourself included. But you know, in a near peer, a global power contest, we expect high casualty rates. In fact, I expect to be able to have to move the same amount of patients I moved in 2022 the entire year on a weekly basis. So we've got to do something differently. And here's what we're going to do. We are working with other partner nations to try to understand what capabilities that they have, both in theater and their movement capabilities. We're working with the services on a multimodal platform to move patients in mass form. We are working on innovative capabilities for patient movement items. And we're also looking at ability to have smaller crews of people work on larger numbers of patients via using wireless and talking to doctors that are on the ground while we're in the air. So we want to bring all of this together to try to reduce the risk. And to your point on allies and partners, where there is capacity with allies and partners, we're looking into agreements to try to ensure that they'll be able to support us as an interim location until we can get them back to the United States.
Thank you.